Anyways, we haven't done what I was hoping to get done. And now with the new mayor, it's not going to be the term that I was hoping it would be, but that's like
What I like about this
Hello everyone. We are going to begin. Before we begin, the town has asked me to address some misinformation. The town would like me to make it absolutely clear that the results from the February 19th advance poll have not been released. All advance voting ballots, mail-in ballots, and general voting day ballots are counted after polls close on March 1st. Shutting down that rumor. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's All Candidates Forum. My name is Brianne McTeer, and I'm the president of the Ladysmith Downtown Business Association. And I will be your moderator this evening. First of all, I would like to acknowledge that we are gathered here this evening on the traditional and unceded territory of the Skamanish people, and we express our gratitude for the opportunity to meet on this land. We are here this evening to hear from the candidates running for mayor here in Ladysmith and to explore their perspectives on key issues impacting our community. Before we ask the candidates to introduce themselves, I would like to take a moment to first of all thank the Chronicle for being our media sponsor. I would also like to thank all of the volunteers for their support and helping to make this evening happen. And lastly, I would like to thank the candidates for taking time out of their schedule to attend this evening's candidates forum. There is water available at the reception area by donation to help cover extra costs for nonpartisan events like these, in which the Chamber and LBDA puts on for the community. And thank you to the Ladysmith Chamber of Commerce and the Ladysmith Downtown Business Association for hosting tonight's event. I would like to note that T. Hansen was unable to attend in person and is joining via Zoom with his personal technical helpers. If anything goes wrong with the Zoom connection at any time, we will proceed regardless. We are also live streaming, so please refrain from walking in front of the camera right here. Lastly, on to the rules. Rebuttal cards. 3 rebuttal cards will be issued to each candidate, which may be used during the pre-selected question or submitted questions to candidates portions of the forum. When a candidate wants to review the statement of another candidate, they're asked to hold up a rebuttal card and await acknowledgement from the moderator. Upon instruction from the moderator, the candidate will have 1 minute to review. Submitted questions to candidates. Due to time constraints, there is no assurance that all questions will be asked. Contact information will be forwarded to the candidate indicated for follow-up if desired. Code of conduct. The purpose of the candidates forum is for the audience members to gather the information they need to make an informed decision on election day. It is not for the purpose of showing one's support for a particular candidate or party. Therefore, we ask the audience to respect the candidates and applaud good ideas rather than cheering or jeering the candidates themselves on their political party. A reasonable decorum will be expected by the guests and candidates to ensure a fair and equitable discussion. The moderator will ensure and maintain a productive and respectful environment. If anyone acts out of line, my security crew right here will help me. They will be asked to leave the event immediately. The evening will be paused until the situation is resolved. We take the security and respect of candidates and guests very seriously. We ask the candidates to respect each other by not speaking over one another and speaking to each other in a civilized manner. And now, on to the evening. Tonight's forum will focus on 4 key topics: leadership and vision, housing, development and infrastructure, economic development and local business, and environment and public safety. That's all in your little pamphlet. We will begin with the opening remarks. Each candidate will be given 3 minutes to provide opening remarks. Rebuttal cards may not be used in this portion of the forum, and candidates and audience members will be asked not to interrupt. Candidates have been selected randomly in advance and will present in the following order: Joe Friesenhan, T. Hansen, Russ Barling, Dina Beeston, Raymond Farmier. We will start with you, Joe.
Thank you, and good evening. I'm running for mayor because I care deeply about our community. I've lived in Ladysmith for a little over 26 years, and I have 31 years of experience in municipal government and senior management. My most recent position was the 13 years as Director of Public Works for the town of Ladysmith. In addition to that, I have also got one term as town councillor. I have continued to follow council by reading agendas and results of the meetings, as well as discussing topics with other interested citizens. I very strongly believe in serving the public, that the council needs to be more transparent in serving the public, and that the council needs transparent by reducing the number of decisions made behind closed doors. The taxpayer needs to know about discussions and decisions that create a significant impact on taxes. Being retired, I have the time to devote all my efforts and energy to the position of mayor. If you want to know more about me, please see me at the end of the meeting tonight, and I will give you my email address, and you can also post your questions to me as we see it on Facebook, and I will respond to you. With my municipal experience, I feel I'm well qualified to help streamline operations, to improve the public service, and assist in reducing the costs of providing those services. I'm also a firm believer in maintaining the infrastructure. We must ensure that it lasts the expected lifetime before major repairs or replacements are required. I'm in favor of controlled development that will keep pace with our ability to provide water and sewer services. With the growth we are experiencing, we will need to, at some point in the future, expand our water supply, upgrade or replace our fire hall, upgrade or replace City Hall. Question I have is the new City Hall they talked about a need or a want? I suggest that we may better serve our taxpayers, business owners, and developers by having related town services in one location. Consider the possibility of combining the Public Works and Planning Department so we no longer pay the rent for the Planning Department's office space. The town is well known for its unique heritage downtown. This could be improved by including a heritage park by the side of the Expo Legacy building to showcase the many historical artifacts that numerous volunteers have refurbished over the years, and it would improve Ladysmith as a tourist destination. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
It's my turn now.
Yes, go ahead, T.
First of all, I want to welcome every single candidate to come here. I think we all are capable of becoming a mayor in this town. Second of all, I would want to welcome everybody from the town. I'm astonished. I can't see you, but I reckon it's full hall here now. We want to listen to what we can do. We can't do anything without your support, without your feedback, without your input to town. As a mayor, you're just a figurehead. I try to be nice, to represent us out to the world. Joe said most of the things I would like to say, but I support Joe in what he said, and I will follow up that too. I think with my background in the military and leading big corporations, I think I can lead this town to a new future. Where do we want to be in 10 years? A new New York, Toronto, Vancouver, or do you want to keep the small town feel we have? Tourism Ladysmith is talking about scenic tours. experience of town. I've never seen anybody walking around town, except downtown. They have never visited uptown where we live and seen the old houses. Houses 120 years and older up there. I would love for people to come and see that, experience it. I am for expansion, but in moderation. The more we put people in here, the more pressure on infrastructure is going to be. Yes, we make more money, but we have to spend more money. So it's a need out there. So vote with your heart. At least vote. As I said, anybody here is capable of becoming there and doing a good job. So go out and vote. Thank you.
Russ, so go ahead with you.
How's volume level? Is it okay? Okay, because I heard it had a little bit of problem hearing T that. Listen, Ladysmith's got so much untapped potential, so I'm running for mayor to keep my promises to offer a real alternative to politics as usual this election. I'm also doing my part to return civility to public discourse. To change a political culture, you need new blood. In this room are some of the most active citizens we have, but the fact is that only 23% of our eligible electorate got out to vote last term. The third lowest rate on Vancouver Island. Council believes our participation rate, let me put that more clearly. Some council believes our low participation rate reflects your satisfaction with the way things are going. I think it's because too many of our residents have lost faith that voting can change anything. You've been promised an adequate supply of affordable housing, and you haven't received enough of it. You've been promised a new waterfront 2 years after the passage of the OCP. The plan remains aspirational. Election after election, you're promised better communication, more transparency, and if anything, it's getting worse. You've been promised to say about matters that will affect your family's quality of life, that affect your pocketbook, the environment, and matters that will shape this town's future. And what you got last year was an AAP process that was explicitly designed to bypass the very folks who pay this town's bills. You guys. If elected, I will treat everybody with respect whether you voted for me or not. You're entitled to your opinion, and you're entitled to get an opportunity to voice it. I will endeavor to ensure that we will never have another AAP process. As mayor, I will advocate for homeowners so that the town's biggest taxpayer group will finally have a voice at council. And I will not run for the chair of the CBRD because you deserve a mayor who is solely focused on addressing Ladysmith's future.
Thank you, Russ. Dina, go ahead.
I was asked to provide an overview of who I am with my opening statement. Our family moved to Ladysmith in 1961. As a young adult, I moved around, returning home several times over the years and finally permanently in 2007. After a career with Island Health, I retired early in 2020. Since then, I've been occupied providing relief and respite for children and adults with special needs, hosting international students, volunteering and caring for my aging parents, who unfortunately have now passed. There have been many times over those years that I thought about going back to work just to get a lunch break. With my passion for my hometown, I can now commit to putting all my time and energy to this position. With the availability of live streaming, I've been watching council meetings regularly. I have also watched and read all of the transcripts for the last couple of years and referenced many beyond that to ensure that should I be elected, I go into this position as prepared as possible. I'm running for mayor because I love this town. I want to see our children growing up in a community that offers a future for them here, so they and their children, our grandchildren, have opportunities and desire to stay. My approach to governance is to be open, welcoming, and respectful, strengthening and actively engaging residents and fostering collaboration for the benefit of our community. I commit to ensuring public input is valued and implemented through improved policies, advisory bodies, and accessible discussions. With a focus on responsible growth and infrastructure planning, as well as maintenance of our existing services, I will advocate for sustainable development that balances economic prudence with community needs. I believe in making strategic investments that enhance quality of life while minimizing the financial burden on taxpayers. As a longtime resident who has felt the burden of ever-increasing taxes for myself and my neighbours, I know the answer can't always be raising taxes. We have to find the money somewhere else, through grants or funding from other government levels, public-private partnership, collaboration with service groups, by working closely with all stakeholders, including St'nūmis First Nations and local organizations. We can create opportunities to not only retain our families, but attract more families and businesses. Through collaboration, transparency, and forward-thinking leadership, we can build a stronger, more connected community for all. If you'd like to know more about me, I'll be here after, and I have some folders that you can take home with some information on them. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina. David?
Hi, my name is Ray Farmier. So about me a little bit. I lived in Ladysmith from 2016 to 2018. Over the last 2 years, I worked as a campus director at private colleges, which involved leading and growing the business. I have reviewed the last year of council meetings, and I've been watching them online for every council meeting over the last few months. If you want to know more about me, my website is votefarmier.ladysmith.info. I have a Master's of Education from Vancouver Island University. I was also part of the QB 1858 executive, which is similar to the role of a councillor, where I was responsible for voting on bylaws and motions. I attended the QPBC meeting in 2018 provincially, where we passed a lot of different legislation on a lot of different things. I have taught classes in business administration, digital marketing, politics, and ESL over the last 10 years. So if elected for mayor of Ladysmith, I would like to do several things. First, I would like to bring more communication between council and the public. And to do that, I would like to hold regular town hall meetings like this, where we're all meeting here today. So you can come and ask myself and council questions. I'd like to have less closed-door meetings and more open-door meetings where we can all come together to discuss things. I would like to continue working with the objectives of the OCP to help the community achieve those objectives. I would like to continue working on methods to lower greenhouse gas emissions, which is something that Ladysmith needs, and its objective needs to be met by 2049 as part of the OCP. I would like to bring more affordable housing options to Ladysmith. The OCP has a wonderful plan for this, with six-story buildings with retail space in the bottom of them, and everything within an 800-meter walking distance. I would like to bring more medical facilities to Ladysmith. Ladysmith needs definite sidewalk repairs to make the sidewalks more disability-friendly for people with wheelchairs and walkers. And I would like to continue to advocate for and help put the bike lanes in place as are brought out in the OCP. I would like to improve the road conditions and get funding from the provincial government to help do that. I would like to improve the Ladysmith transit system to lower our carbon footprint. And finally, I'd like to bring more businesses to Ladysmith. And to do that, I'd like to give them a tax break in their first year. Thank you.
Thank you. Now on to the pre-selected question portion of the evening. The following questions were pre-selected and sent to the candidates in advance of this evening's forum. Candidates will have 2 minutes to respond. Rebuttal cards may be used in this portion of the forum. We will start with T. Hansen. What is your long-term vision for Ladysmith, and how will you balance growth with preserving the town's heritage, character, and environmental sustainability? How will you ensure transparent communication and meaningful engagement with residents, local businesses, and Stamanas First Nation? Go ahead, T.
My turn. This is a trifold question, and it's not easy to answer in a few minutes, but I'm going to try. We need to keep the community. We can't let it overgrow and become a bedroom community. Bedroom community creates crime. It's shown several studies all over the world about this. Slow down construction, keep the character we have. Don't exploit the small resources we have. We have to set aside money to do a solid maintenance plan for the town. The suggested 1% per annum for budgeting for repair. The environmental places is very important, where we have more electricity need. We have everything is increasing. Nobody's talking about reducing. Russ mentioned water conservation. We are considering water reduction, where he has a water barrel in his backyard. Fantastic. Everybody should try to do that, but it's not room for everybody. We should try to see where we can reduce the amount of water used. These are probably the basic things. This is a communal thing. We need to work together. We can't let the council decide everything. We have to work together. Thank you.
Same question for Russ Barling.
There's a lot of material to go over here in 2 minutes to do it. My mom always told me, say one thing well rather than try to say everything poorly. So I'll just focus on business development here from this. At its core, a good business development strategy involves 3 specific phases. First, there's the business attraction phase. That's the fun part, it's the sexy part, if you will, with obvious wins and tangible rewards. And then there's business implementation. This part is more delicate, more complex, more nuanced, and the process of adopting new businesses needs to be supported in ways that don't disadvantage, the existing business community. The third phase is a community phase. The new businesses we court need to be in line with the town's vision for growth. For example, aligned with the goals of the OCP. And in line with the cultural goals, such as those related to heritage and conservation mandates. When business development fails to consider all 3 of those phases equally, you end up with debacles such as the Ludlow Road roundabout. I don't know if you guys are up to speed with that, but it was a problem, has been a problem, and it's taken quite a few sessions of council to resolve it. I'm not even sure it is resolved. The town needs to have the sales skills to target and close important contracts, the intelligence to implement them without disrupting existing businesses, and the determination to ensure that any new business complements the town's vision. With regard to being transparent, I mean, it's pretty simple. Public consultation has to be best practice, it has to be held to standards, and there has to be less in-camera meetings.
Same question for Dina.
A vibrant downtown, a waterfront incorporating our heritage by the sea character, thoughtful planned out growth that connects neighborhoods and provides residents with walking and biking opportunities. I see a community that provides residents and visitors with the necessary services, facilities, and infrastructure. I see us embracing our opportunities in tourism, encouraging entrepreneurs to bring their energy and vision. That offers residents a safe community with recreation, sports, activities, events, and opportunities. I see a community that embraces our arts, attracting visitors and encouraging local artists. I see a collaborative future with Snunumis First Nations as we grow the waterfront, harbour, and marina. Thoughtful planning and design elements will help preserve the town's character for environmental sustainability, green space, sustainable transportation, energy efficiency, water conservation, and waste management must be considered in design elements. While increasing density, the downtown core does increase the tax base without creating new infrastructure that must be maintained, but it will likely require updating water and sewer. There's little opportunity for added green space. We can increase density, but it must be done with thought, planning, and considering the existing residents. I will hold regular office hours and be available to speak to anyone who wishes to engage. I will ensure that only items meeting the specific regulations are discussed in camera and keep residents, business, and Snunumis First Nations apprised of what is going on around town. I will endeavour to allow public question period at council meetings where residents can inquire or bring up concerns. And most importantly, I will listen.
Any questions for Raymond?
Question. So to help, my vision for the community is to help the community grow and at the same time improve communication between council and the community. I would also like to improve the amount of tourism coming into Ladysmith. Ladysmith has a very rich history with many buildings that came from the former mining towns of Extension and Wellington. It is important that we maintain these buildings and upkeep them as they are a major part of the town's history and character. Additionally, I'd like to have a similar design in newer buildings to the previous buildings to help expand on the character and continue building it of the community and the town's historical significance. Preserving the town's heritage and character is important. And the way to do this is to learn more about the town's past. And to learn more about the town's past, I would like to do this by having regular meetings with the Ladysmith Historical Society and Council. There hasn't been a meeting between them since 2008. We also need to look at ways to use less greenhouse gases and lower carbon emissions for good environmental sustainability. To ensure that we have a meaningful and transparent communication with residents, as I said, I will hold monthly town hall meetings. Also, I would encourage business owners to come and meet at these meetings too, and give us their input for what they have to say. In order to strengthen Ladysmith's relationship with the Snunumis First Nation, this will require a need that we will need to consistently have open and ongoing dialogue between Ladysmith Town Council and the First Nation Council. I would like to create and expand on the existing joint committees between the two councils so that we can work together for common goals. I want to continue to work towards promoting awareness of the culture, history, and tradition.
Any questions for you, Joe?
Thank you. One of the things that is a fact is Ladysmith must grow in order to survive. Growth normally means an increase in property taxes because there's more infrastructure to maintain. Encouraging the development within the current infrastructure will maximize the tax base without increasing the infrastructure or the municipal taxes. In addition, densification versus expansion will reduce the environmental impact. One of the most valuable assets of Ladysmith is the downtown's heritage core. Brings in many, many tourists every year, and the tourists are what keep the businesses here. To preserve that heritage core, we will continue to maintain the existing building scheme for First Avenue and expand the heritage area by creating a park by the Expo Legacy building to showcase the many historical artifacts that the volunteers have been working on. Thank you.
Moving on to housing, development, and infrastructure. We will start with Russ Barling for this one. Housing affordability and availability are growing concerns. What specific policies will you implement to address this issue while maintaining Ladysmith's small town feel? What are your priorities for improving roads, sidewalks, waterfront access, and public spaces, and how will you secure funding for these projects? Go ahead, Russ.
Thanks. I'm going to use this again because there's just so much to go through here. I'm going to use this to talk a little bit about my personal passion in terms of infrastructure, and that is water supply, demand and catchment. At the last census, 2021 population of Ladysmith clocked in at just under 9,000. According to the town, it's expected to grow another 35% in the next decade to about 13,000 people. Growth at this level is bound to put stress on our existing infrastructure and our water resources. But even though the town has been growing quickly, there's nothing alarming about our recent water consumption rates. We only consumed a high water mark of 1 million cubic meters 3 times in the last decade, which is a level equivalent to about 110 cubic meters per capita. But at the present consumption rates, will require at least 1.4 million cubic meters a year by 2035, or 40% more water. We just received an $11 million grant to raise Holland Lake's storage capacity by 1.5 meters. One of the 3 main water capital projects for which we have provisionally set aside $265 million this year. We should be celebrating that kind of investment. How much those projects will enhance our water catchment capacity is unclear. I've asked the town, and we don't really know how much raising the lake by 1.5 meters is actually going to increase our catchment. But I think it's safe to assume that they will need to be supported by related efforts at the grassroots level. So I would support an incentive program that encourages residents to invest in more substantial water catchment facilities on their properties than the $75 per rain barrel we are now subsidizing.
Same question for Dina.
Housing affordability and availability are another provincial and federal responsibility being downloaded on municipalities. Currently, municipalities must prove they are on board with increased density. Ladysmith received $200,000 in funding from the province to implement new legislation to facilitate more housing, such as transit-oriented and small-scale multi-unit housing. I will continue to seek opportunities to attract grants and funding for housing and look for cost-effective solutions to address both problems. I don't have all the answers, but I have the time, energy, and tenacity to find them. Increased density in our neighborhoods must be considered on a case-by-case basis. If we examine each application's merits and the effect on the neighborhood and community, we can grow fairly and inclusively. Carefully planning growth in the Old Town with various housing choices in other areas of Ladysmith will provide options for those wishing to make their home here. While growth increases ongoing maintenance and upkeep, it also offers opportunities for industry and business, new infrastructure, more parkland and green space for residents. It allows our downtown to retain the charm and welcoming character of our heritage by the sea. I see the need for increased density where it makes sense and growth that benefits the community. Our OCP speaks to creating new connections in existing low connectivity areas and requiring high connectivity in new areas. We know that our infrastructure is aging and we need a long-term plan to address upgrades. We obtained grants to improve and extend sidewalks up on Colonia and some of the other roads. That option and incorporating this kind of infrastructure in DCCs are options. Last January, Council discussed dedicating town-owned land and road allowances as parkland and better access to the waterfront. They looked at King Road, Hill Road.
Thank you, Dina. Same question for Raymond.
In the OCP, we have the 10-minute walk theory, where essential services will exist for each person within 800 meters of where they live. The plan calls for affordable housing with buildings no higher than 5 or 6 stories, and on the ground level, in each of these buildings, there will be room for retail businesses to operate. By following this plan, this will help to maintain the small town look and feel and encourage the addition of new small to medium businesses, which will give money back to the community and which will help the community work towards continued growth. But at the same time, the community will need to have input in this plan. Therefore, I would like to hold the open town hall meetings, as I said, so that the community can help guide us through this process and give us feedback as we go through the process of bringing forth the objectives of the OCP. We need to look at repaving the main streets and collector streets in Ladysmith due to the cracks and potholes in some areas. The sidewalks need to be made more wheelchair and disability friendly for wheelchairs and walkers. I would like to work with the community council, staff, and developers to see what their recommendations are for improving waterfront access. For public spaces, I would like to add some more sitting spaces to the parks and gardens where people can sit and relax and enjoy the scenery. For funding, I will reach out to various ministries within the provincial government, such as the Minister of Transportation for funding to help with the sidewalks and roads, and the BC Ministry of Parks for funding to help make our public spaces much more enjoyable.
Any questions for Joe?
I really hate to tell you people, there's only one way to reduce the cost of housing to make it affordable. There's no way you're going to get a developer or anybody to build a house for less than what it costs. Cost of materials has gone up, cost of labor has gone up, but there are ways of reducing that cost. The only way is to make the housing more affordable is by reducing the construction costs. And the only way you can do that is a municipality can reduce the construction costs by building smaller houses on smaller lots. I've looked at the situation over many, many years. The cost of labor keeps going up, rightfully so. Cost of material keeps going up. So the only way to reduce costs is to build smaller. Every house in Ladysmith that in the last little while that's been built is large enough for 2 or 3 families. You build a smaller house, you can afford to move into. The second house you might buy will be a little bit bigger. The third one a little bit bigger. But you have to build the smaller ones to start out. Densification is another way. And I guess I'm going quicker. My main priority is maintaining the infrastructure. There are areas in town where people are walking on the road right now, and we need sidewalks built there. This part of the budget is covered, so the waterfront plan has also been approved many years ago. I would start the process of developing the waterfront by allowing...
That's time. Thank you, Joe. Same question for T.
Yeah. First of all, sorry that I'm on camera, but I'm at work. The vacancy rate in Ladysmith today is 3.1%. The average cost of a rent is $1,140. This is according to CMHC, the Canadian Mortgage Housing Corporation of 2024. The biggest issue with housing crisis is that the employer doesn't pay enough. The cost of having a house increases every day. Just to build a new house, the cost is between $300 and $500 a square foot. 5 years ago, it was between $150 and $250. This is just killing everybody. We have to think long-term strategic how we can build it, and that's where the community comes in. Same time, as we're thinking of that, we have to think of how can we make this city walkable. Today, everything is by car. You drive to Coronation Mall, you drive to this, you drive to that. Very few are walking. By putting aside minimum 1% per annum in maintenance costs, we can improve the city dramatically. This year, the taxes are going up 3.75% just because of operational costs and infrastructure costs. Then you have 2% extra coming from the CRD. This is the main thing we have to focus on now. Thank you.
Moving on to economic development and local business, we will start with Dina. How will you support local businesses, attract new investment, and ensure the sustainability of key industries like forestry and tourism? What strategies will you implement to boost downtown vibrancy, encourage residents to shop local, and strengthen partnerships with organizations like the Ladysmith Chamber of Commerce and the Ladysmith Downtown Business Association? Go ahead, Dina.
In 2 minutes. Establishing a community that people want to live in, to shop in, to visit, and spend time is the best way to support local business and attract new investment. We have an amazing light up, Old Town Christmas, late shopping night. We walk through town constantly when it's lit up. We meet people who stop to see the lights, take pictures, and then drive away. There's a dearth of holiday activities on the island. We should take advantage of that. We could have various events throughout December and even into January to give visitors a reason to stay and spend money. We could involve our service clubs and churches. To attract investment, we must stand out as a community that people want to be a part of. We need to be safe, to provide the necessary services while being fiscally responsible. We must be competitive. While tourism and forestry practices are under the provincial government's purview, we as a municipality can encourage sustainable logging practices and develop tourism that respect our natural environment. I would like to attract more end users of forest products so the processing remains in BC rather than going overseas. But we are competing with areas with lower costs and taxation. Shopping locally is complicated. We may not be able to compete with big box stores, but we can build a solid customer base by offering unique products and excellent service to attract shoppers from out of town as well as residents. We have an invested and hardworking chamber and Ladysmith Downtown Business Association who are there to support businesses and bring new life to downtown. The current situation with our southern neighbor may benefit us as Canadians make conscious choices to buy locally and support our economy. Let consumers know those products are available here. The new sweet shop has been touting its Canadian-made soft drinks over social media.
Same question for Raymond.
Thank you. So one thing that I would like to do is I would like to support local businesses by creating a movement that I would call Buy Local Week, where we could encourage residents of Ladysmith to buy local. And in that, businesses could use this movement as an opportunity to run sales during a Buy Local Week. To attract new businesses, I want to go in their first year, I would like to give them a tax break, and I would like to put a motion before council to give new businesses a tax break in their first year to bring more businesses to Ladysmith. To ensure sustainability of key industries like forestry and tourism, we want to encourage urban land reserves to return to forestry, agricultural, or similar zoning, and to avoid upzoning and development in accordance with the urban reserve designation as laid out in the OCP. In relation to tourism, we want to look at nature and nature-based tourism and sports-style tourism venues to add to the community at the same time while lowering our carbon footprint and burning less greenhouse gases. I would like to work regularly with the Chamber of Commerce to look at what kind, and Ladysmith Business Association, to see what kinds of businesses would be good to help bring to Ladysmith. Thank you.
Same question for Joe.
The Downtown Heritage Corps maintains buildings to the heritage standard. I would give them a small tax break to help maintain the buildings the way they are right now, because that is what brings not the taxpayer, but the tourist, and that's where the revenue comes from. Improving Ladysmith as a tourist destination by adding the Heritage Park and waterfront development will also attract more people to Ladysmith to spend their money. I'm not 100% clear on what the question about the strategies to boost the downtown, but I would support the Chamber, the LBBA, and anybody else in any capacity that I would have as a mayor.
Same question for T.
Yeah, this is a funny question. What I will do to support? This is an individual question, and as a mayor, you can't be individualist. You have to work with the council, you have to work with the Chamber of Commerce, you have to work with everybody to get it going. Ladysmith is a dying town. Yeah, I know it's shocking to hear that, but I spoke to several businesses, which is on the brink to move because there are no support in town. I know that's unpopular to say, but it has to be said. The businesses today are struggling. Try to go through downtown at 4 or 5 o'clock. Everything is closed. Saturday, Sunday, when people can come to town, it's closed. How can you boost it? By being more accessible. Have open 7 days a week to boost the economy in town. Chamber of Commerce and the mayor and the council has to work together, and Ladysmith Business Association has to work together to get this going. Me as mayor, I can't say I have plenty of ideas, but it's nothing I can solidify and say, this is what I'm going to do. We have to sit down together and argue to get it going. Don't let Ladysmith die. Thank you.
Same question for Russ.
Okay, I'm going to look at this from a business development perspective. It's no secret that we need to build our tax base, our tax revenue base, but we also need to make those streams more balanced. Encouraging a business startup contributes 3.4 times as much tax revenue to the town's budget than encouraging somebody to build a house. It's simply the most effective way to fill the town's kitty. At face value, there would appear to be commercial opportunities associated with building clusters of business retailers, associated with water sports like boating, kayaking, canoeing, paddleboarding, water skiing, hiking and mountain biking, and the emerging green and smart economies associated with the energy transition. But those business sectors are very competitive, and it remains to be seen whether we can compete. So if elected mayor, I'd like to appoint a business development council like the one we had a couple of decades back. The aim would be to identify how our location, being comparatively closer to the waterfront, being comparatively closer to a marina, an airport, a ferry, several lumber yards, than our rivals are. The town demographics and the skill sets give us a natural advantage to attract business sectors. That way we'd be playing to our strengths.
Moving on to environment and public safety. For this question, we'll start with Raymond. With crime and vandalism affecting downtown businesses, how will you enhance public safety while supporting community well-being, including mental health and social services? How will you ensure Ladysmith is prepared for emergencies, including wildfires and climate-related risks?
Thank you for the question. So I would like to look at having a community watch program put in place. In addition, we could look at bringing in contracted security guards to help protect the community and the businesses. Another thing I would like to do would be to look at several kinds of mental health programs to bring in the community. For example, the City of Vancouver has a phone line put in place that people can call when they're depressed to talk to someone about mental health issues when they are depressed. I would like to look at access mental health services, including for addiction services, where maybe we can get a community outreach worker or several outreach workers to walk around the community and help people with addiction problems. In addition, I would like to ensure that we have a proper plan in place, including a safe evacuation plan if needed in the case of an emergency. I would like to ensure we have a safe shelter location in place at all times of disasters where members of the community can come and get the essential things they need. This includes the making of town facilities available, such as emergency shelters during emergencies, and consider this the potential design of new facilities where practical, that are practical to support this initiative.
Any questions for Joe?
As a council, I'm not sure exactly what number of things we can do to improve or help with the crime and vandalism affecting downtown. Ladysmith's role is to fund the RCMP. That's what we do. Now, the RCMP's role is to protect our community. So all we can do is raise taxes by bringing more people in to help them out. That's not probably the best way. The province has to get involved with providing more funding for municipalities. It's the same with mental health and social services. There's a mandate for the provincial government. I'm not sure exactly what we can do as a local government to help that out unless the province gives us more money to do those things. Now, Ladysmith is included in the Cowichan Valley Regional District for earthquake preparedness. The CBRD has available the Cowichan Valley Emergency Preparedness Workbook. That is a guide to ensure your family is ready for an emergency. I would ensure that the town creates a task force to develop emergency evacuation procedures for both earthquakes and wildfires situations. Thank you.
Same question for Keith.
Yep, I'm here. Becoming a veteran community, as I said before, will increase vandalism and crime because there's nobody there to watch out for us. By creating more jobs in the local community and keeping people in the area, we will reduce that automatically. And also that people dare to engage in keeping us safe. Health services and mental health is a province task. We can ask them what we can help them with to get it improved. But we can't take initiative to just do it because we don't have the funding. Or we can raise the taxes 5% so we implement it, but I don't want to do that. Regarding emergency preparedness, as I spoke on last meeting, town hall, when I grew up, we had every 6 months emergency preparedness during the Cold War. Everybody was called into bomb shelters and what to do and how to do and so on. Maybe we should start with this in Ladysmith. Have a 6 months where we get the fire department, including police, including CEOs, including every instant that can help us to be prepared. We just had an earthquake just outside Ladysmith, 4.8 on Richter scale. We need to start to prepare ourselves. We have been lucky till now, wildfires is rampant, especially around the interior, and it's coming on the island, getting drier and drier. No water is there. There's not enough rain, so we will have a fire sooner or later. What can we as a community do? Again, I'm coming back to the community here all the time.
That's time. Thank you. Same question for Russ.
Kind of wasn't really prepared to answer this question. Public safety, I know, is a big issue, so my gut tells me you talk to the experts. I mean, this year we're going to be paying 11% more, I think, to the cops in 2025. We're just figuring out the details of the budget, to the RCMP. I guess you have to sit down with those folks and say, well, what more can you do, right? Because I've spoken to a lot of the business owners on First Avenue there, and they tell me the crime rates are unsustainable. Like, people have lost, during construction phases and stuff like that, they've lost tools, other people have lost goods, and there's no sign of it receding. And when we do sort of phone up the cops, they know who the characters are, but it's just kind of, it's not something that they feel is something that we have the capacity to deal with. For emergencies and stuff, I mean, again, you talk to the experts. I mean, we have a really good bunch of volunteer firefighters, volunteer emergency responders and stuff in the town. You sit them down and you say, how do we prepare ourselves? How do we prepare ourselves for these things? What can we do? What little things can we do to make ourselves ready for the accidents, crises, earthquakes, fires when they come? Oh, we're finished? No? Okay. I'm finished. Thank you.
Same question for Dina.
Last November, the RCMP report showed a reduction in various criminal activities compared to the same time period for 2023. Calls for police services had decreased by half. This was attributed to several offenders being in custody during the reporting period and the Nanaimo-based CORE program community outreach response team provided by Island Health. CORE has reduced the number of calls answered by the RCMP, reducing their costs and time away from the community. They provide outreach to people that are homeless, that have mental health issues, that have addiction issues, things like that. That being said, as multiple offenders were released, the following quarter there was a definite uptick in police calls. So we've got the services in there, but they're not doing their job yet. Residents and business owners are justifiably angry. The cost of theft, destruction, vandalism, and the lack of security is not just about money, but about feeling safe in your home and community. Every community in Canada struggles with this problem. We must operate under provincial legislation with a limited healthcare budget. Community-driven solutions include Block Watch, Crime Watch, being alert, and reporting all infractions to keep an accurate total of the incidents. We can be proactive, care for each other, and work together to find solutions. I'm encouraged by the resurrection of the Restorative Justice Program in Ladysmith, and I hope it produces positive results for the community. I watched the fires burning in California, and it reminded me of seeing the fire north of Ladysmith here. And when I looked into our emergency response plan, there wasn't one. It tells you to pack an earthquake kit, tells you there's a couple places you can go where the community has assets. There's no actual evacuation plan. I don't know what people
That's time. Thank you, Dina. Now we'll move on to the submitted question portion of this evening's forum. This portion of the evening will consist of questions from the public, which were submitted to the Chamber online to be directed to individual candidates who will be given 2 minutes to respond. Rebuttal cards may be used in this portion of the forum. First question will be addressed to Raymond. Not being a taxpayer in Ladysmith, if you are elected mayor, do you feel it's fair that you make decisions on where the tax dollars are spent, yet you don't contribute?
Thank you for the question. As part of this whole thing, I want to help make a difference in the community of Ladysmith and help with open communication. And to do that, I want to make a difference in the community. I have been a taxpayer in the community before in the past, from 2016 to 2018. I love the community and I want to do my best to work with the community to take it in a positive direction. And while the community itself is still connected to the Cowichan Valley, I do live in the Cowichan Valley at the same time. And part of the role of mayor is to be the chair of the Cowichan Valley Regional District as well at the same time, where I could still help make a difference.
Okay, the next question is for T. Can you hear me, T? Clearly? Okay, well, take a shot. Name a community or political leader, local or otherwise, you admire, and how would you emulate their style as mayor of Ladysmith?
Does it have to be Canadian, or can it be one from my country?
It's up to you.
I have one. I have a couple. The father of the General Secretary, the former General Secretary of NATO, Thorvald Stoltenberg, incredible person. Trygve Bratteli, Norwegian prisoner of war, Jewish. He was doomed to die in a concentration camp. He came in as a politician when he was let go. They cut his vocal cord, but he learned how to speak again. He worked for the people, not for the politicians like they do now. There are no real leaders in the world. It's only followers. They are saying what people want to hear. I don't accept that. I'm not saying what people want to hear. I'll say what I think is the truth. I might be wrong, I might be right. But these two are two of the strongest. I met Nelson Mandela once. It was incredible. Same guy, it's, yeah, those are the political leaders I look up to. Thank you.
This question is for Joe. What specific infrastructure projects do you believe should be at the top focus between now and 2026? How do you balance near-term priorities with long-term planning?
I think the biggest thing right now that everybody is concerned about is water. We have been putting water money aside for the last 15, 20 years in our annual taxes. I know with the increased growth, we will require more water, and the only way to get that is raise the dam at Holland Lake, which I believe is the one that should go first. There are a couple of other things that they have collected money for, but the Holland Lake Dam, I believe, is the first one that should go ahead with that. What was the second part?
How do you balance near-term priorities with long-term planning?
I believe they're the same. Thank you.
Next question is for Russ. Municipal budgets require balancing services, infrastructure, and long-term financial health. How do you approach financial risk management when it comes to major town expenditures and debt commitments? Can you provide an example of a financial decision you would not support because of its risk profile?
Trying to find my spot there, sorry guys. Run me on the clock there. I'm in trouble. Listen, I'm a climate advocate, and I believe the science is clear. There is climate change. I don't think you can deny it. You have to just accept it. And if I could only find what I was going to say, then it'd be really good. I don't know where it is. Listen, what I'm worried about is that we have some very lofty goals within the OCP with regard to climate change. And for example, we're supposed to have reduced our carbon footprint here, or our GHG levels, by 20% this year. Okay, I don't know where we are with that. So I think it's about setting priorities. If you look at it, we have a lot of foundational infrastructure problems to fix. I'm really happy to say that we're working with the water catchment problem. We're dealing with it very well, and it's admirable that we've actually got $26 million to spend to fix it. When you talk about the climate change targets that we have in the OCP, though, we've got very little opportunity to reach the goals that we have set there. We have these 45%, I think it is, GHG reductions by 2030, which is 5 years away. Okay, and we don't really have an opportunity to hit that. So what I'd like to see us do is refocus to things that are achievable in the shorter term.
This question is for Dina. You've proposed task forces for recreation, economic development, emergency response, and community wellness. Given Ladysmith's limited resources, how will you ensure these task forces deliver measurable results rather than just additional layers of discussion?
The task forces I've been involved with in my life, it generally involves putting word out and looking for people that have expertise. Our community is amazing. I go out there and I talk to people, and I'm finding people that are experts in everything from hydrology to geology to engineering. They're here and they want to help. So you put the word out and you say, I've had 2 people that have both worked on emergency plans for communities, and they're both very interested in joining a task force to set up an actual emergency plan for Ladysmith, and that can involve having a phone tree for people that are vulnerable in case there's power outages or there's a fire or things like that. There are people out there that want to contribute and they want to help. These task forces don't cost money. People show up. It might take a council member. I'll do it. I'll get up an extra half an hour early in the morning to go out and volunteer. And if you find the people that want to come in and you set a time frame and you set your boundaries of what you're trying to accomplish, the people will come. And it won't cost us. I don't understand why people think that this is something that's going to be a burden on the community, because it's run like our other committees in town, like our community planning and things. They're volunteers. People will show up and they'll do what they can to help.
I just want to remind the candidates that these questions, while I'm saying them, came from the community, so address them. This next question is for Raymond. You've run for office in multiple municipalities. Given that Ladysmith residents are looking for a mayor who understands local challenges and has a vested interest in the town's future, can you explain why you believe you are the best candidate to lead a community in which you do not reside?
I love Ladysmith. I've lived here before as I said. And I'm the best candidate because I want to bring communication between council and the community, and I want to be a leader that works together with the community because it's not a closed door thing, it's an open door thing. We need to, as mayors and councillors, we need to work with the community directly, all of you. And I want to hear what you guys want for the future of Ladysmith, young and old, everybody. I want to see what we can do to make it more positive. I want to bring more money to the community. I want to bring more tourism to the community as well at the same time. And I want to make it a happier place. At the same time, Ladysmith has a very rich history, and I'd like to tap into its history to be able to grow its tourism. As I was saying before, it has a character of a mining town very much. So I would like to build on any of the new buildings in the OCP that we're looking at building for the future and have them somewhat resemble the existing older buildings in some ways with a lot of the same Victorian style. And at the same time, I would like to, Ladysmith also is looking to lower its carbon footprint, and Ladysmith is very much about the water at the same time. So I'd like to have more tourism venues down at the waterfront, and I'd also like to do more tourism in relation to hiking and things like that. More natural tourism that will help lower carbon emissions. Thank you.
This next question is for T. Public safety and accessibility are critical concerns in our town, particularly regarding the need for road and sidewalk repairs to improve mobility for all residents. Additionally, the ongoing shortage of general practitioners is making it increasingly difficult for individuals to access consistent health care. As mayor, how do you plan to address infrastructure improvements for safer roads and sidewalks, and what steps would you take to advocate for better access to primary health care services in our community?
Thank you. Is Ladysmith ready for change? Is Ladysmith ready for getting an outside person living in town to look at how we can improve things? I don't know. I'm just asking a question. There should be a budget for maintenance. As I said earlier, 1% per annum for maintenance. We shouldn't have to go and ask for fundings. I asked when we had AAP for the City Hall, how much was saved over the last 10 years? And I never got an answer. These are things we need to figure out. Like, we're talking about a roundabout for 2 million, something like that. A roundabout costs about 300 to 500,000 on an existing road. 1 to 3 million on a new road. So I don't understand why we are so strapped for cash when we know that we need to plan for the future, not just for last year. Thank you.
This next question is for Joe. Ladysmith's aging population and high housing costs make it difficult for younger, working-age residents to live here. What specific policies do you support to increase housing options for them?
That's one of the things I said earlier. The only way the younger generation can afford a house is if the mom and dad put the down payment down, or they have an excellent job. One of the issues is the cost of housing is very high right now, and it will continue to grow, and the only way to reduce that is build smaller homes on smaller properties. There was a development available east of 4th Avenue a number of years ago, which for various reasons stopped. But it's an ideal location to put smaller lot subdivision in there where you can get more lots per acre, and that would reduce the cost of the housing. Putting a smaller house in, you don't have to live in a 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 square foot house. It's nice, but you have to be realistic. If you want to afford one, let's build a smaller one, get more of them in there. Densification is the way to go, and it will not increase our taxes by doing that. Our taxes will go lower because you've got more people paying the tax, but you don't have the increased cost.
This next question is for Russ. How do you think and how would you implement development on the waterfront in collaboration with the Stamanis First Nation as an active player on the waterfront now?
So the waterfront is, for me, it's about tourism, and it's about our ability to attract visitors to this town. So it's a very important facet of our strategy. And I believe that the Stamanis First Nation and the present relationship that we have with the Stamanis First Nation is one of an executive partnership. We have a partnership, but it's an executive partnership. Council is talking to council, and our council is talking to the executive board of the CSDC and things like that. But what I'd like to see us do, if we're going to get a fully fledged relationship with this Stamanis First Nation, we need to talk people to people. Both of our communities are suffering right now from a lack of communication from our councils down into the residents. So you get the residents in Ladysmith are not, they have questions that are not being answered by the council. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing on the reserve with the Stamanis First Nation. So a healthy partnership can't be held at the executive level. It has to be community to community, right? There has to be an opportunity for the community of the Stamanis people to talk to their council and get the answers they want, and then there has to be the same here. And then once those communities are getting the answers they want, then we can have more events that involve everyone instead of just the executives. I hope that answered the question.
The next question is for Dina. Your development stance seems to favor continued suburban-style growth, which increases infrastructure maintenance costs. What is your position on higher density housing, mixed-use zoning, and other forms of development that reduce municipal service costs per capita?
If you were listening to my answer to the housing question, I think I covered that. I'm absolutely for increased densification where it makes sense and where it works. I'm also supportive of industrial and business development and suburban development. I think Ladysmith has a plan already in place for all of those things. We have the South End plan, we have the Holland Creek plan, we have the waterfront plan. Those have all been in place for 20 years. This is not me, thinking it up off the top of my head. The boundaries are all set up. Developers have been looking at the opportunities. Increasing densification downtown is a really good idea, except, as I said, there's only very limited opportunities for green space. If you put another 200 residents downtown, and then you have all of those people looking for outdoor space and someplace to go hang out, they're looking at putting a 6-story apartment building where Red Block Rental is on Baden-Powell between First Avenue and the alley. All of those cars will either be going down Baden-Powell and out south, or will be coming out that little alley on Robert Street, right where the light is, right where people are trying to go down the hill and turn, or they'll be going through the alley and trying to go up White Street and Methuen Street. I'm really curious how that's going to work, especially when it snows. I think we have to be very thoughtful in where we put developments, how we place them in neighborhoods and what it's going to do to the existing neighborhood that we put them in. So I'm not for any one particular type of development. I'm willing to look at them all.
That's time. Our next question is for Raymond. Name some people whose knowledge or opinions about Ladysmith you respect.
So I actually meant name some people specifically.
Name some people whose knowledge or opinions about Ladysmith you respect.
Okay. I met Joy Davies a few weeks ago, and she has great experience with Ladysmith and looking towards maybe bringing a medical marijuana program to Ladysmith. That's something that I would like to help do too. Victoria has it, and it's a great cause. And I also met the directors of history, and they have a lot of insight on the history of Ladysmith. And I respect them, and I would like to work with them in order to bring forward the history of Ladysmith, to help the community learn more about the history so that we can bring it into our development and future design of the community. And at the same time, through that, I would like to bring in tourism venues that support the history as well at the same time, and I'd like to work with the museum as well. Thank you.
The next question is for T. If you were elected, how would you ensure that those who disagree with you still feel heard and represented?
Could you please repeat that, maybe closer to my microphone? I barely got what you said.
If you were elected, how will you ensure that those who disagree with you still feel heard and represented?
Good question. I love that. If you don't disagree with me, that would be, stupid. We can't grow. We can't do if we don't disagree with each other. An idea is not a finished product. I've been shut down so many times in Canada because I had an idea, and they said, that doesn't work here. We need to have disagreement. We need to have communication. We need to talk together. And it might be that your disagreement is actually the thing that should come through. As a mayor, you will never be the person with all the answers. Everybody else has also answers, and we need to listen to them. Thank you.
Next question is for Russ. Do you think densification in downtown and area is a good thing, and will it support local business?
Well, whether I think it's a good thing or not, I think we got it coming because Bill 44 is mandating it on us. I think it is because to some degree there's, what we're focusing on is densifying areas that are already developed. So we're not being tempted to, or we're not being mandated to take down the wild areas around the town to grow the town and fulfill our needs for population expansion and greater revenue and things like that. The second part, sorry?
Do you think densification in downtown and area is a good thing, and will it support local business?
Yeah, of course it'll support local business. Local businesses, because you're going to have more people here. But what I would like to see is we have these 10-minute neighborhoods in the OCP, and that's to create walkable neighborhoods to achieve climate goals and all the rest of those things. And I don't know how we're going to fulfill those, so I got to fall back to my original thing was to say that we have. It'd be really good to get it to find out what our local advantages are so that we can make sure we attract businesses to the downtown core and serve the growing population that we're going to have through the densification initiatives.
Next question is for Dina. Ladysmith has finite financial resources, and the province continues to download costs. If forced to choose between funding core infrastructure, water, roads, emergency services, and new discretionary projects, task forces, cultural initiatives, climate action plans, etc., where would you cut first?
I'm not sure if I got the whole question, but it seems to be a moot point. You take care of your needs before you take care of your wants. And your needs are your water, your roads, your core infrastructure. We have to have those things. Our downtown is coming on 100 years old. Those are old pipes. Those are old water lines. We're going to have a plan going into the future where we're going to be replacing them. It's always cheaper to plan infrastructure replacement than to deal with emergency infrastructure failure. So we should have a long-term plan where we get a hold of the TELUS and the Rogers and the gas and everybody else and say, we're going to have this road dug up, be ready, let's put everything underground. We should be working with all of our utilities to make sure that we move forward and get everything done all at once. We should have a 30-year plan to do this. So.
Thank you. And Joe would like to use his first rebuttal card.
Just a comment you made about the downtown needs to have new services like new water, sewer, the underground. It's old. Just want to inform you it is not that old. It was all replaced about 2000, 2001, year after I came. So the downtown is actually in fairly good condition at this point. So I just wanted to make that clear. For the services, that is.
Okay, and the final question of the evening will go to all candidates. As the president of the Ladysmith Pride Society, that is not me. As the president of the Ladysmith Pride Society, I've been fortunate to have a very positive relationship with the past mayor, the current acting mayor, and council. However, we are seeing a rise in aggressive and bigoted behavior towards the 2SLGBTQ+ community. If elected, do you intend to be a supportive and engaged ally to our community? If so, how would you foster that relationship and ensure our safety, visibility, and inclusion in town initiatives? We'll start with T.
As the hostile candidate, the non-governmental experienced candidate, I don't think we could work together. It will be hard. No, we have to work together. We have to cooperate to get to a better point. I'm not saying that everything has been done wrong against me. I listened to one of the meetings. Amanda came and said, why don't we have a council meeting at school? Fantastic. Kids nowadays don't learn politics. Let's go in there and teach them that. Let's work together to get the society, the community together. Not stand on each top and say, hey, I'm the mayor. I don't care about being a mayor in the sense that I get a title. I care about the community, to build a community where we are. When we moved in 2011, you could say hi to people on the street. Now, you don't know anyone anymore because everybody works. 60% of Ladysmith residents work outside Ladysmith. 60%. How can you expect that they know anything about town? I work out of town because my job, and that's why I'm sorry that I can't be there today. I'm running in Newfoundland in the cold. But we have to work together. We can't be sitting on our tops and say, I'm the king, like they do now with politicians. Thank you.
Same question for Russ.
Okay, so you answered this any way you would answer any kind of question about discrimination. Everybody here has one vote in the election, and there's a reason for that, because we're all created equal. The law maintains it. The law insists upon it. If I understand that the LGBTQ community has special needs is a bad word, but they have special requirements, and the strategy to make them feel comfortable and safe in our communities is going to be unique for them. But I mean, if everybody in this room can look in their hearts and say, you know, we are all equal. We're all equal, color, creed, sexual orientation, or whatever, then really, it shouldn't be that big a challenge. I know that's not what they want to hear. I know they want special programs and stuff, but I think it starts from the heart, and you just accept that everybody here has a right to live their best life. Let's put it that way.
Same question for Dina.
I have always been supportive of every member of my community. I have a story my mom told me once when I met one of my cousins. I didn't particularly care for her. And she said, you don't have to like her, but you have to respect her. We have more in common with each other than we have differences. And we have to stop looking at what makes us different and start looking at what brings us together. I will support the LGBTQS plus society in Ladysmith to the best of my ability, and I will ensure that they are given a voice in the town and in council.
Same question for Reagan.
To the President of the Ladysmith Pride Society, thank you for the question. Yes, so everybody should be treated equally. At the same time, I would like to meet with the Ladysmith Pride Society to see what we can do to come up with programs to help this community out. And to do that, we would sit down and have regular meetings and see, and then once we've determined what programs we need, and we could come up with some initiatives for funding them and put those initiatives before the provincial and federal government to get the funding for those initiatives in our community to help the Ladysmith Pride Society out and this community. Thank you.
And same question for Joe.
I'm not 100% sure how to answer this one. I pride myself in being able to work with anybody. I've worked with many, many different people all over Western Canada, and I get along with pretty well everybody. Even the people that don't like me, I get along with. So the only concern I have with that question is if you're demanding more than what the other person has, I don't go along with that too much. The squeaky wheel is getting the grease. We have sidewalks out there, honoring them. Do we have sidewalks honoring every aspect? No. So, like I say, I'm not sure how to answer the question. I have no problem with anybody. I can work with anybody. Let's leave it at that. Thank you.
All right, that concludes the questions from the community. So we will finish off here with the closing statements. And each candidate will be given 3 minutes to offer closing remarks. Rebuttal cards may not be used in this portion of the forum, and candidates and audience members will be asked not to interrupt. We will start with Russ.
It's not a good sign that everybody's leaving before you do your closing remarks. Okay, I don't know, I'm not sure that people really got a sense of what I stand for and who I am here tonight. But I'll just say that if enough of you choose me to be your mayor, it'll be the first time in 50 years that someone who wasn't raised here will be elected to that office. Okay, I'm not sure how the history of voting for folks you know has worked out for the town, but I do know this. I will put the interests of Ladysmith first in all negotiations and discussions. I will treat everybody with respect whether you vote for me or not, and I'm repeating this from my intro. Right? You are entitled to your opinion, and you're entitled to get an opportunity to voice it. I've been here long enough to have confidence in this town's collective wisdom. And that's good because the modern day challenges we face will require new voices and new ideas. You may have noticed that I haven't made a lot of promises during my campaign. Well, that's because I avoid promises I can't keep. My word has always been my bond, and that's why I put my campaign in writing. I was prepared to discuss so many more topics here tonight than I was asked. So I encourage all of you to read my campaign literature at Russ4Mayor, number 4mayor.ca. Ask any questions you like, and please keep me busy from now until March 1st.
Moving on to Dina.
We have challenges ahead of us, but that gives us opportunities. I advocate for respect, collaboration, and openness in the council chamber and in the community. And I look forward to working with the current council. From our conversations, I feel they have the best interests of the town at heart, and with the right leadership, we can move past recent issues and focus on the town's business. I have the education, the experience in life, in business, and about as much experience in politics as most of the other mayors that we've had. So I think I'm in pretty good company there. I'm a very fast learner. I'm tenacious, hardworking, and creative and committed. I look for solutions wherever I can find them. I don't discount an idea just because it hasn't been done before. I build on what has worked in the past, and I improve as I go. I'm running for mayor because I want to see Ladysmith get back on track. Fiscal responsibility, necessary infrastructure, sustainable growth, and retaining the appeal that made us all want to make it our home. I want to see the projects that have been mired in planning stages for years get up and running. I want to see our businesses and residents prosper. We have hard times coming. We don't know where the disagreement with our southern neighbor is going to leave us, but we have to be ready for whatever comes. I will speak to our firemen, city workers, residents, businesses, along with my colleagues and town staff, and devise solutions that will provide the infrastructure we need without breaking the bank. I want to get back to grassroots decision-making, where you're involved at the start, not just given an option at the end with no opportunity for input. I'm not saying that everyone will always get what they want, but they will all be given an opportunity to be heard. When the choices are provided, they will be based on community needs and recommendations. Thank you.
Next is Raymond.
Thank you. So my big thing is I'd like to help with the development of the town and bring it in a positive direction and make it the town that everybody needs it to be and wants it to be, but make it profitable at the same time and help bring more businesses to the community because Ladysmith needs more jobs in order to be able to grow. And as I said before, to do that, if elected, I'll put a motion before council on my first day to lower taxes for new incoming businesses for their first year in business. Second, if elected, I'd like to be the mayor who would bring back communication between the community and council. So together as a community we can work towards a bright future while carrying out the objectives of the OCP. The OCP was designed as a blueprint and a footprint for the community, and so much work has gone into it. So therefore, we don't want to completely reinvent the wheel, but at the same time, we want to move forward with the recommendations of the OCP while taking in mind the support of the community and meeting with the community as we're going through each thing objective by objective. The role of the mayor is to carry out the objectives and the goals of the community. I feel the best way to accomplish this, as I said, is through monthly town halls with myself and council, and members of the community can come to these town halls and speak with us and let us know what they would like and where they feel the community is going and what we as council and the mayor can do to make it better. So vote Farmier, and we will work towards a great future through open communication. Open communication is key to a positive, growing community. And for more, visit my website at votefarmierforladysmith.info. Thank you.
And next up is Joe.
Thank you. Like Ross, I haven't made many promises either, but I do make one promise, and every one of us has made this comment about transparency. I will make sure we're going to be more transparent than we have been in the last few years. One thing that the previous mayor had done in his terms, many terms, he had an open house once a week where the public could come in and talk to him on face to face. I tell you, I will bring that forward again. And one of the things you have to realize, no matter who gets elected here, they're one vote, which means they're going to have to be able to convince 3 people on the council to think their way, which sometimes is not that easy. I was on the council before, and I know it's not easy, but we will make a big effort doing that. I urge you all, I thank you all, first of all, for coming. I urge you all, because I know every one of you, if you haven't yet, you will vote. Please contact your neighbors, your friends, make sure they vote, because the numbers that Russ was talking about earlier, 23%, is horrendous. Thank you.
And finally, T.
Thank you. First of all, thank you to this Chamber of Commerce and the Business Association for hosting us. It's fantastic. We get a chance to show our bad side, the good side of us. It's easy to promise. It's very easy to promise. I can say everybody votes for me is going to get a gold car and gold paved roads, and oh, it's going to be so fantastic. And then you come in power and it just falls apart. First of all, what I promise is that I'm going to work with the councillors. I never met anybody. I see them on the street. They pass me there. Yeah, and I've been too afraid to say hi. I know now I can do that. I promise I'm going to work with them to find the best way for Ladysmith in the future. Another thing, I'm going to be available, and I'm going to demand that my councillor also is going to be available. They're allowed to say what they want to. Nobody's going to stop them from saying things, but they need to use a bit common sense. I want Ladysmith to come back to the community we were back, at least when we moved here. Probably the time when Dina moved here, it was a much more tight-knit community. We have sports coaches, they do it voluntarily. They don't get any accolade for that. The basketball coaches, the football coaches, soccer, but the football coaches, the baseball coaches, they should be the town heroes. They are taking care of our youth. And I think we have forgotten two generations, the old and the young. What can we do to improve their lives too? And we need to get more people out to vote. If you vote for me, thank you, I appreciate that. But you won't get a gold card, that's a guarantee. But you will get the mayor who is interested in the town. I grew up in a small town, 25,000, and they were a community. Be that my grandfather owned a big shipyard and people knew him, so they knew me, but you could talk to people, you could meet people, and the council talked to you. The same I want to be in Ladysmith. Create a community, create something big, not in size, but in heart. Have a good night, folks. Go out and vote. Do the right thing.
I'd like to thank all of our candidates for sharing your views tonight. Thank you all for coming out, and remember that your vote is your voice, so please cast your vote on Saturday, March 1st. Thank you.